Hello, how's your day going? You've probably heard that eating vegetables is always a healthy choice, right? But what if I told you that some vegetables, which seem harmless, could actually pose a risk for people over 60? That's right. Today, I'll be sharing with you 8 vegetables that seniors should avoid, and the reasons might surprise you. Some can cause kidney problems, others can increase the risk of falls, and some may even interfere with the medications you take. Stay tuned until the end because this information could protect your health or the health of someone you love. Before we dive in, take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Here, we provide practical and valuable tips for those who want to maintain their health, energy, and quality of life as they age. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss any updates. And if you know someone over 60, feel free to share this video. You might be helping them more than you think. When we think of healthy eating, vegetables are often the first thing that comes to mind, right? However, what most people don't realize is that as we age, our bodies change, and certain foods can put strain on organs like the kidneys, liver, or even disrupt your blood pressure. This is why it's crucial to know which foods to avoid once you reach your 60s or 70s. 1. Raw spinach. In our younger years, many of us were told that spinach is great for everything. It strengthens bones, improves blood quality, boosts energy, and even helps with vision. And that's not far from the truth. Spinach is indeed one of the most nutrient-dense vegetables, offering a wealth of vitamins like A, C, K, and B complex, along with essential minerals such as iron, calcium, and magnesium. It also contains fiber that aids digestion, along with powerful antioxidants that help fight free radicals. However, what many people don't realize is that once you reach a certain age, eating spinach, especially raw, could do more harm than good. This is mainly due to a substance called oxalate. Oxalate is a naturally occurring compound found in many green vegetables, and spinach contains it in high amounts. When consumed in excess, oxalates bind to calcium in the body and form crystals that can accumulate in the kidneys, potentially leading to painful kidney stones. For a young, healthy adult, this might not be a major concern because their kidneys are still functioning optimally. But for older adults, it's a different story. Aging naturally reduces kidney function, even in the absence of any diagnosed conditions. If conditions like hypertension, diabetes, or long-term medication use are present, the risk increases significantly. Kidney stones in seniors can result in severe pain, nausea, recurring urinary infections, and hospitalizations that might require invasive procedures. Moreover, oxalates can interfere with the absorption of essential minerals like calcium and magnesium, both crucial for maintaining strong bones, proper muscle function, and a regular heartbeat. This is particularly concerning for older adults, as they already experience a natural decline in bone density over the years, which increases the risk of fractures. So, rather than strengthening bones, excessive raw spinach consumption may actually be quietly weakening the skeletal system and contributing to falls and other physical limitations. Another important point is that spinach is often consumed in green juices or salads, which increases oxalate intake even further since it's not cooked in these preparations. Cooking spinach significantly reduces oxalate levels, but it doesn't eliminate the risk entirely. Experts in senior nutrition are clear in their advice. Avoid consuming raw spinach frequently. Instead, opt for steamed spinach, lightly sautéed spinach, or include it in soups and broths. Even then, it should be eaten in moderate portions. It's important to note that not every older adult will develop kidney stones from eating raw spinach. However, those with a history of kidney stones, mild kidney insufficiency, or who take medications that affect kidney function should be especially cautious. Above all, it's essential to consult with a healthcare professional, like a nutritionist specializing in elderly care, who can create a safe and balanced meal plan tailored to individual needs. Eating well in old age isn't just about maintaining good habits. It's about understanding which foods need to be adjusted, avoided, or prepared differently to prevent harm to a body that is already more sensitive and slower to recover. Spinach, while still a valuable food, must be approached with care and knowledge, especially when it comes to the health of our seniors. 2. Excessive beets. Beets are widely known as a healthy, vibrant food full of benefits. They're rich in fiber, antioxidants, B-complex vitamins, iron, and potassium. Thanks to their natural pigments, called beta-cyanins and beta-xanthins, they possess strong antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. It's no wonder beets are recommended in many diets as a functional food. However, what many people, especially seniors, don't realize is that frequent and excessive consumption of beets can pose significant health risks, particularly concerning blood pressure. Beets contain a high amount of natural nitrates, which, when metabolized in the body, turn into nitric oxide. This compound helps dilate blood vessels, improves blood flow, and lowers blood pressure. In young, healthy adults, this effect can actually be beneficial, especially for mild hypertension. But in older adults, the same effect can be dangerous. People over 60 who are already taking antihypertensive medications may experience a sudden drop in blood pressure when consuming large amounts of beets. This can lead to dizziness, blurred vision, sudden weakness, and even fainting. These episodes are especially concerning in old age, as falls are one of the leading causes of fractures, hospitalizations, and loss of independence among seniors. A simple fall in the bathroom or while walking could result in serious consequences, such as hip fractures, head trauma, or more severe complications. Additionally, many older adults struggle with balance and reduced body awareness due to the natural aging of the nervous system, which further increases the risk of accidents during hypotensive episodes. Another factor to consider is that beet consumption often occurs in concentrated forms, such as natural juices made from several beets in one serving. This type of intense intake quickly increases nitrate levels in the body and amplifies the vasodilating effect. The person may feel fine initially, but soon after, symptoms of low blood pressure, such as facial warmth, cold sweat, and a sensation of fainting, may occur. In environments with extreme temperatures or after taking diuretics, the situation can worsen. Even if the senior doesn't faint, repeated episodes of low blood pressure can lead to ongoing fatigue, trouble concentrating, mental confusion, and a general sense of weakness, symptoms often mistaken for natural signs of aging but actually stemming from diet. Therefore, beets don't need to be entirely eliminated from the diet, but they should be consumed with much more caution. Ideally, include small portions in cooked meals and avoid concentrated juices or diets that rely heavily on daily beet intake. This recommendation also applies to people who naturally have low blood pressure, those taking diuretics or vasodilators, or individuals with a history of fainting and falls. Guidance from a nutritionist or geriatric doctor is essential to adjust the quantity and preparation of beets based on individual needs. The secret isn't to cut out all foods, but to adapt dietary choices to the realities of the aging body, ensuring nutrient intake without putting health at risk. 3. Unripe green tomatoes. Tomatoes are undoubtedly one of the most popular ingredients in kitchens around the world. They appear in salads, sauces, juices, and hot dishes, and are widely recognized for their nutritional value. Rich in lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that combats cellular aging, helps prevent cardiovascular disease, and even certain types of cancer, ripe tomatoes truly offer numerous health benefits. However, when consumed while still green, before they are fully ripe, they can pose a significant health risk, especially for older adults. The danger of green tomatoes lies in a substance called solanine, a toxic alkaloid found in various plants from the nightshade family, such as tomatoes, potatoes, and eggplants. Solanine is a natural defense mechanism these plants use against insects and fungi, but in the human body, particularly in more sensitive individuals, it can cause adverse reactions. The most common symptoms include nausea, headaches, stomach burning, abdominal discomfort, vomiting, dizziness, and in more severe cases, mild neurological disturbances such as confusion and muscle weakness. For seniors whose digestive systems are already more delicate, ingesting solanine can trigger gastrointestinal crises that are difficult to manage. It's also important to remember that aging decreases the body's ability to metabolize and eliminate toxic substances. While a young adult may tolerate small exposure to solanine with little or no consequence, someone over the age of 60 or 70 may experience much stronger effects. This is especially concerning for seniors who already suffer from conditions like acid reflux, gastritis, constipation, or diarrhea, all of which make the digestive system even more vulnerable. Another important factor to consider is the appearance of tomatoes sold at markets or supermarkets. Many are harvested while still green to ripen during transport. Although they may develop a red color on the outside over time, they don't always fully ripen internally. These tomatoes, despite appearing ripe on the surface, can still contain high levels of solanine inside. The risk is even greater when the tomato is used in homemade preserves, lightly cooked sauces, or raw salads, since intense cooking helps reduce the toxin's presence. Therefore, it's best to always consume fully ripe tomatoes, firm but slightly soft to the touch, with a uniform red color, and preferably cooked or roasted, especially when preparing meals for older adults. Avoid using tomatoes that are still hard, greenish, or have firm patches, which are signs they haven't fully ripened. Never use the green stems or leaves of the tomato plant in homemade recipes, as those parts are even more toxic. Lastly, it's important to emphasize that digestive and gut health is a key component of overall well-being in old age. Even small cases of food poisoning or indigestion, which may seem minor at first, can significantly affect a senior's appetite, sleep quality, physical energy, and even mood. Prevention begins with mindful choices at the dinner table, and green tomatoes, while they may look harmless, should definitely not be part of those choices. For sprouted or green potatoes. Potatoes are undeniably one of the most commonly consumed foods in Brazilian households and many cultures around the world. They are versatile, delicious, and an important source of energy, appearing in meals as boiled, roasted, fried, mashed, or added to soups. However, behind their simple appearance, potatoes can hide a silent danger, especially when they begin to sprout, develop greenish spots on the skin, or show areas with altered texture. These signs indicate the presence of solanine, a toxic substance that naturally accumulates in nightshade family plants like potatoes and tomatoes, particularly when they are improperly stored, exposed to light, or kept for too long. Solanine is a chemical compound with natural insecticidal and antifungal properties, but in the human body, it can have quite dangerous effects. In small amounts, it may cause mild and often overlooked symptoms, such as heartburn, nausea, or fatigue. However, when consumed in higher concentrations, such as when eating sprouted or green potatoes, the effects can become potentially serious. Solanine directly affects the central nervous system, leading to excessive drowsiness, muscle weakness, abdominal pain, mental confusion, blurred vision, and tremors. In extreme cases, it can even trigger seizures, hallucinations, and respiratory failure. For older adults, the situation is even more critical. As we age, metabolism slows down, the protective barrier between the bloodstream and the brain, the blood-brain barrier, becomes less effective, and liver function, which filters toxins, tends to decline. This means an older person's body has more difficulty processing toxic substances like solanine, allowing its effects to last longer and become more intense. Furthermore, many seniors already experience some degree of cognitive decline, such as memory lapses, occasional confusion, or mild dementia. Consuming this toxin can seriously worsen these symptoms, potentially even confusing medical professionals during diagnosis. Another factor that increases the danger is that many people are unaware of the visual signs that a potato is no longer safe to eat. It's common to try to salvage sprouted potatoes to avoid waste, simply cutting off the sprouts and assuming the rest is fine. However, solanine isn't limited to visible sprouts. It spreads throughout the potato flesh, especially when the skin has a greenish tint. Even after cooking, the substance isn't fully destroyed by heat, meaning that dishes like soups, mashed potatoes, and stews may still pose a risk even if thoroughly cooked. That's why the recommendation is clear. Sprouted, wrinkled, green-tinted, or foul-smelling potatoes should be discarded immediately. Don't attempt to salvage the good parts. In households with elderly individuals, this caution should be doubled. 5. Pickles and commercially preserved vegetables. Many people enjoy the bold, tangy flavor of pickles and other commercially preserved vegetables. They're easy to find in grocery stores, have a long shelf life, and offer convenience when preparing meals. Often used as toppings for sandwiches, salads, and cold dishes, these foods are widely appreciated. However, for older adults, these foods pose a risk that is often overlooked. Behind their appetizing appearance and convenience lies a critical issue: the extremely high concentration of sodium and chemical preservatives, which can seriously impact the health of those with more vulnerable bodies. Sodium is an essential mineral for the human body, but when consumed in excess, as is common with processed foods, it becomes a real threat, especially to the kidneys and cardiovascular system. In pickles and preserved vegetables, sodium is used in large amounts to prevent the growth of bacteria and extend shelf life. A single serving of pickles can contain more than 30% of the recommended daily sodium intake for a healthy adult. For an older person with high blood pressure or kidney problems, that amount is even more alarming. As we age, kidney function naturally slows and becomes less efficient. This decline is a normal part of aging, but when frequently overloaded with high doses of sodium and chemical additives, it can progress more rapidly. The result is fluid retention, increased blood pressure, and a buildup of toxins that should be eliminated from the body. This can lead to or worsen conditions like chronic kidney disease, hypertension, swelling in the legs, shortness of breath, and even heart failure. In addition to sodium, commercial preserves contain a range of chemical additives, such as colorings, acidifiers, stabilizers, and artificial preservatives. These can trigger inflammatory responses, disrupt metabolism, and, in some cases, have cumulative effects on the liver and intestines. For older adults who often take multiple medications, these additives may interact negatively with their prescriptions, altering the absorption or effectiveness of the active ingredients. This is something that's frequently overlooked by those responsible for the dietary care of elderly individuals. The ongoing and seemingly harmless consumption of these foods can also interfere with the management of chronic conditions like diabetes, hypertension, osteoporosis, and heart disease. Excess sodium coupled with fluid retention can cause blood sugar fluctuations, worsen blood pressure, and even increase joint pain due to the accumulation of toxins. Many seniors who are trying to follow a healthy diet end up unknowingly sabotaging their health by adding small servings of pickles to their meals daily. Over time, this creates a significant cumulative effect. That's why, if you or someone in your family is over 60, it's best to avoid pickles and industrially preserved vegetables whenever possible. A much healthier alternative is to prepare natural preserves at home using less salt and no artificial additives, with safe sterilization and storage methods. Even then, they should only be consumed occasionally and in small amounts. Nutrition in older age should be guided by care, responsibility, and awareness. Small daily decisions, such as choosing to skip processed food, can make a huge difference in kidney function, blood pressure stability, and overall quality of life. Taking care of your health starts with what's on your plate, and in this case, it starts with saying no to hidden sodium in something that may look harmless but can have serious consequences. 6. Excessive raw kale. Kale is frequently praised as one of the most nutritious vegetables in our diet. Rich in fiber, calcium, iron, potassium, and vitamins A, C, and K, along with powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds, it's considered a true superfood by many nutrition experts. Regular consumption of kale is associated with improved digestion, stronger bones, prevention of chronic diseases, and even protection against certain types of cancer. However, what few people know, especially those over 60, is that consuming raw kale in excess can have unexpected consequences. 6. Excessive raw kale. Kale is frequently praised as one of the most nutritious vegetables in our diet. Rich in fiber, calcium, iron, potassium, and vitamins A, C, and K, along with powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds, it's considered a true superfood by many nutrition experts. Regular consumption of kale is associated with improved digestion, stronger bones, prevention of chronic diseases, and even protection against certain types of cancer. However, what few people know, especially those over 60, is that consuming raw kale in excess can have unexpected consequences, particularly when eaten regularly and without proper balance. The main concern with raw kale lies in the presence of substances called goitrogens. These are natural compounds that, when consumed in large quantities, can interfere with the thyroid gland's ability to absorb iodine. Iodine is essential for proper thyroid function, which regulates many vital processes including metabolism, body temperature, heart rate, and hormonal balance. When the thyroid's function is compromised, the body can enter a state of hypothyroidism. This condition is marked by slowed metabolism, weight gain, constant fatigue, dry skin, constipation, memory lapses, and mood changes. When these symptoms appear in older adults, they are often attributed to natural aging, which can delay a proper diagnosis of thyroid dysfunction. Hypothyroidism may go unnoticed for months or even years, silently affecting the body, lowering quality of life, and worsening pre-existing conditions. Furthermore, thyroid disorders are linked to changes in cholesterol levels, osteoporosis, depression, and heart arrhythmias, making prevention even more critical. Moderate consumption of cooked kale generally poses no risk. On the contrary, it can be very beneficial. However, the habit of drinking green juices with raw kale daily, which is common among people seeking a detox or healthier lifestyle, can become harmful over time, especially in individuals predisposed to hormonal issues. When kale isn't cooked, the goitrogens remain active and, in excess, block iodine absorption by the thyroid, creating a favorable environment for the development of nodules, thyroid enlargement, goiter, and hormonal imbalance. It's important to emphasize that the problem doesn't lie with kale itself, but rather with the frequent, excessive intake of its raw form without any monitoring. Kale can and should remain part of an older adult's diet, but preferably through steaming, sautéing, or other cooking methods that significantly reduce goitrogen levels while preserving nutritional benefits. Even then, portion sizes should be tailored to each individual's reality, taking into account medical history, thyroid function, and any medications being used. If you experience symptoms related to metabolism or have concerns about thyroid health, the best step is to consult an endocrinologist or a nutritionist who specializes in senior health. Small dietary adjustments, such as rotating green vegetables, avoiding daily raw kale juices, and ensuring proper iodine intake, can protect the thyroid, maintain hormonal balance, and help preserve energy and well-being for much longer. 7. Undercooked eggplant. Eggplant is a highly valued food known for its distinct flavor and nutritional properties. Rich in fiber, antioxidants like nazeanin, B-complex vitamins, magnesium, and potassium, it supports cardiovascular health, helps manage cholesterol levels, and aids digestion when properly prepared. However, what many people don't know is that eggplant, when not well cooked, can become quite troublesome for the digestive system, especially in older adults with intestinal sensitivity or gastrointestinal disorders. This happens because eggplant naturally contains bitter alkaloids, mainly solanine, the same substance found in other vegetables from the nightshade family, such as green tomatoes and sprouted potatoes. While solanine in small amounts is not a major risk, when eggplant is consumed raw, undercooked, or lightly sautéed, these compounds remain active and can cause a range of unpleasant symptoms. The most common include abdominal bloating, persistent gas, a feeling of fullness, stomach pain, heartburn, and in more severe cases, nausea and diarrhea. For the elderly population, these effects are even more significant. As we age, the digestive system becomes slower and more fragile. The production of digestive enzymes decreases, intestinal motility changes, and the gut microbiota becomes more vulnerable. This means that any food that irritates or complicates digestion has the potential to trigger discomfort that lasts for hours or even days, directly affecting the senior's quality of life. Additionally, many older adults already live with chronic gastrointestinal conditions like gastritis, acid reflux, colitis, diverticulitis, or constipation. These issues can be aggravated by foods that are difficult to digest or fermentable, such as undercooked eggplant. Another important factor is that raw eggplant contains anti-nutritional substances like saponins and tannins, which in large amounts can interfere with the absorption of essential nutrients like iron and calcium, two critical minerals for preventing anemia and osteoporosis. A deficiency of these nutrients in the elderly can lead to serious consequences like muscle weakness, dizziness, chronic fatigue, and a higher risk of fractures. That's why it is essential to always cook eggplant thoroughly before consumption. Roasting, steaming, or grilling until it's completely soft are safe methods for preparing this vegetable. These techniques significantly reduce bitter alkaloids and irritating compounds, making eggplant not only tastier but also safer and more beneficial for the body. Additionally, cooking enhances the antioxidants in the skin, making properly prepared eggplant even more healthful. In summary, eggplant can indeed be a great ally for health, even in older age, as long as it is cooked properly. Replacing dishes that use undercooked eggplant with longer and more thorough recipes, like ratatouille, caponata, vegetable lasagna, or stews, is a smart way to preserve the vegetable's benefits and avoid its risks. After all, when it comes to senior nutrition, every detail matters, and small mistakes in preparation can cause great discomfort that could easily be avoided with the right knowledge and care. 8. Raw bean sprouts. Moyasher bean sprouts are widely used in salads, Asian dishes, and vegetarian recipes due to their mild flavor and crunchy texture. They are considered healthy foods, providing good amounts of vitamin C, fiber, and small doses of plant-based protein. However, despite their delicate appearance and nutritional value, these sprouts pose a significant sanitary risk, especially when consumed raw or improperly washed, making them a silent threat in senior nutrition. Bean sprouts are grown in warm and humid environments, the perfect conditions for bacterial growth. As a result, they have a high chance of being contaminated with pathogenic microorganisms such as Salmonella, Listeria, and Escherichia coli. These bacteria can cause severe foodborne illnesses with symptoms such as intense diarrhea, fever, vomiting, abdominal pain, and dehydration. While these symptoms can be managed in younger, healthier individuals, for the elderly, the effects can be far more severe and even fatal. Why is this? In older age, the immune system no longer responds as efficiently as it once did. The body's defenses become slower and more fragile, making bacterial infections more aggressive, harder to combat, and more likely to escalate into complications like sepsis, severe dehydration, and prolonged hospitalization. In fact, many elderly hospital admissions related to gastrointestinal infections are linked to the consumption of raw, poorly sanitized foods, with sprouts being among the most dangerous culprits. Additionally, these sprouts are often sold in plastic trays with high moisture content, which accelerates bacterial proliferation if they are not consumed immediately or stored properly. Often, even after rinsing under running water, the bacteria remain on the sprouts, especially if no proper food-safe disinfectant is used. When this ingredient is included raw in salads, cold sauces, or juices, the risk increases even further. That's why expert recommendations are clear. Seniors should avoid consuming raw bean sprouts. If you do wish to include them in meals, they must be thoroughly cooked, steamed, stir-fried, or blanched in boiling water for a few minutes, to eliminate a significant portion of the bacteria and make them safer to eat. Even then, their consumption should be occasional and part of a balanced diet supervised by a qualified nutritionist. It's important to remember that these vegetables aren't dangerous for everyone. But for individuals with compromised immune systems, a history of intestinal infections, or multiple health conditions, as is common in old age, extra care is required. A simple detail in how food is prepared can make the difference between a nutritious meal and a serious health problem. Aging wisely also means choosing with awareness what we put on our plates. Knowing which foods are beneficial and which can be risky is one of the most powerful ways to preserve independence, avoid hospitalizations, and live with more energy and better quality of life. And before we finish, here's a bonus. If you'd like to know which vegetables are truly safe, nutritious, and beneficial for people over 60, leave a comment below saying, "I want the list of good vegetables," and I'll prepare a full new video with the best options. If this video helped you in any way, please like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to receive our next videos. And don't keep this information to yourself, share it with friends, family, or your family WhatsApp group. You could be helping someone avoid a serious health issue with just one click. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Keep taking care of yourself, staying informed, and making smart choices. Your health will thank you, and so will everyone who loves you.